Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon if you're watching this later on in the day. Thank you for watching this. I thought I would make this video and put this together because I've sent a few people emails over the last couple of days about better ways that you can use your system and using some more of the Office 365 features that we've got. There's various customers of ours that can fit into this kind of criteria, either customers with servers that are aging or servers that are just doing like file systems and things like that, and also customers that have got like no server and they're like locally logged in. So with this, we can use more of the Office 365 apps that are available. And this system's always been around, but there's been kind of flaws and stuff missing from it, which we have found ways of filling those gaps and making it more feasible to use it. I'll run through them very quickly here, and then everyone, apologies first as well for the generic video, but a lot quicker than making separate videos. And we can just have a video call after to go through any of the questions that you may have. A lot of this, so this is our setup, and a lot of it, is sort of to do with our company. So I'd appreciate if it's not forwarded anywhere. There's nothing really here that's private or confidential, but at the same time, it is our kind of setup. So I'd appreciate that. So going into this, so we've got a SharePoint setup, which is most of us. So we've got SharePoint sites and team sites as well. So those of you who are using Microsoft Teams, and this is a screenshot I stole earlier. This is not us, but this is, what a Teams channel would kind of look like. Not sure if I'm allowed to use this picture. So again, don't forward this on, but this is, where you'd have your Teams down the left-hand side, and then you can have your like sub channels and conversations and stuff like that. Your Teams can have, so you make a SharePoint site for almost like your network, like network drives that don't have to be a team, but then you can also have storage inside your teams as well. So as an example of that, at Carden, we've got a SharePoint site for Carden IT Services UK, a SharePoint site for Carden IT Services USA. They're not teams, but then in Teams, we have got technical team, sales team, so they've got their own storage as well. And that can be like, some people might not want all these different storage areas, so they can be disabled and blocked and stuff like that. So that's down for us to have a separate conversation about and go through what you want to do in particular. But if you're not using Teams, then I strongly advise it's a very, very good communication tool, especially with everyone working from home at the moment. And that is that on that. So going on a bit further forward, so this is kind of like a SharePoint like intranet site. You'll get like the web page. We haven't configured ours at all. We don't really use that, so I'll jump straight on. But in terms of like the SharePoint sites, so if you've got SharePoint already, then you're already here. If you've got a NAS drive, we can move that data to SharePoint. If you've got a server that's in your office or online, we can move your data. If you get access via a network drive, we can move that to SharePoint. And it's come on a lot in the last couple of years. There were problems with it before. They've kind of been ironed out, and it's a lot more reliable. And anyone with any kind of precautions about it, let's just make up a small test like lab site, that you could use for a few files and folders, to get some confidence in it. If you're looking to switch from, a NAS or something like that you've been using for years, we don't have to go all in and move everything in one go. It can be moved, a few files and folders, and you can use that for a couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months until you know that's what you want to do, kind of thing. So once stuff is on SharePoint, that's obviously not on a server anymore, on a NAS, so there's no need to do any backups locally. All the backups are done. We do a cloud-to-cloud backup we can do that for all of your, so it backs up the whole of Office 365. So a lot of people haven't got email backup at the moment, and what the cloud-to-cloud backup will do is back up all of your emails, calendars, public folders, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, everything you've got in Office 365 will be backed up to another cloud, up with a year's retention on it as well. So you can go back a long way on that kind of thing. And this is like a very nerdy kind of settings inside the SharePoint situation. But the thing to focus on here, and I'm not going to go into it, well, I might click on it quickly, is like information rights management. And this is a really, really key point on what I think is above and beyond what you have on a server, because on a server, or on, like, if you've got your stuff on like Dropbox or any kind of NAS or anything like that, and you've got remote workers, they can copy that file and paste it like wherever they want, onto a USB stick or onto their personal desktop and anything like that, really. If people want the data, they can get it, which, even with information rights management, someone could take a photo of the screen. There's no avoiding that. But the more difficult you can make it for people, then the better. And that is what information rights management is, which I'll come on to a bit later. This is one of our like sites we've got no files in this one, but your files and stuff will appear here in SharePoint, so you can get to them online as well. We're going to protect everything with two-factor authentication. So that is when you log into the web portal, it will send you a text message as well. And not when you're using it every day on your PC, but just when you're logging into the portals. And that is to protect like password leaks and stuff like that. And this is our Azure Active Directory. So Active Directory is something that's been around for 30, 40 years, and it's on a server. And it's like, in simple terms, it's someone joins your company. This is if you've had a server on site, that is, and you would add that user to Active Directory, which is on your server. And then that user can go and log into any machine on the network and access their files and resources. And you then assign permissions to the files and folders on the server via it links to Active Directory. In other words, new user starts called John, and that person, John, can connect to any machine on the network. If you didn't have a server with Active Directory on it, and John wanted to use another machine, you'd have to have a local John user on every single machine that the user wanted to access, and they wouldn't access their files and folders on the server. So Active Directory is really your central pool of users and computers, and then the permissions assigned to the resources on the network. And what we've got Azure Active Directory, which is Active Directory Online. And those people with servers, your local Active Directory syncs with Azure Active Directory. So we make the user locally and it syncs online. Those without servers, Azure Active Directory is there as part of Office 365 anyway, without the sync from the local server. So we create the user directly online rather than locally. So if you've got Office 365, you've already got Azure Active Directory. And we're just going to basically take more advantage of the features of Azure Active Directory going forward. So going back over the scenarios again, if you've got a server, we're going to connect you to Azure rather than to your local server that can be decommissioned. That is, we're going to move you to connect the machines to Azure Active Directory rather than the server Active Directory. So when you do Control, Delete, and log in, you're logging in to Office 365 rather than logging into your server. If you haven't got a server and a NAS or anything like that, you're probably doing Control, Delete, and logging into a local user on the C drive at the moment. That's not ideal. If a machine gets lost or stolen, even if you don't know the password, it's very easy with a USB stick to get around that password. And if a laptop gets stolen, if we're connected to Azure Active Directory and we block that Office 365 user or reset the password, they can't get in. So there's more features and security stuff we're going to put on as well. So that is the main core of the thing. You're logging into the cloud rather than logging into the local machine. And the reason why we haven't really done this in the past is because there's a lot of things that a server does that hasn't been great on Azure Active Directory in the past, which has been enhanced and improved over the last kind of 18 months, to be fair. But it's taken a lot of like customization by us to get it to the place where it needs to be for our customers, which I'll come on to in a second. Part of Azure Active Directory, which we're going to roll out to everyone, is the conditional access. And what we can do is we can enable MFA per user. So when a new user starts, we enable MFA, they register their phone and so on and so forth. What we're doing for all of our customers, we can get like what's called an Active Directory, Azure Active Directory P2 license. We only need one of those for the whole company. It's about £6 or so at time of writing. And means that we can force MFA across the whole company. So new user starts and they log in, they'll be asked to set up the MFA. It's set at a global level rather than at per user level. So basically the users can't go in and they can't disable their MFA, because a user could go in and disable their MFA via logging in after MFA and then not need it in the future. You would never really know that, but this way it's forced at like the server global level. So that's just a point on now conditional access that we're going to be rolling out. And going forward, I don't think there's going to be anything that's embarrassing or confidential here. This is Intune. So Intune is part of Office 365 and it bolts onto Azure Active Directory. Going very quickly over licensing, you've got Office 365 Basic, which is just your mailbox online. You then got Office 365 Standard, which is your mailbox online, SharePoint, and 5 copies of Office per user to install on your machines and tablets and stuff like that, which is around about, I'm going to say around about because it's going to change in quite frequently. It's around about £10 a month for that license. And then to get Intune, I know at the moment it's £15.10, so it's an extra £5 or so a month. But we need to take into consideration here that all the features it gives us, it removes a requirement for a server, and it enables, once you log in, for lots of stuff to happen, which I'm going to come on to in a second. And it really easily pays for itself once you get to use all the benefits and features of it. So going forward, what we can do is, once we've connected your machines to Azure Active Directory, so on the first rollout, there's all of your apps and stuff are already on there, so there's nothing we need to do. But going forward, what we want to do is we want to automate it more when machines are purchased and plugged in and on the initial setup logged into Azure straight away, which we'll come on to in the future. And the way we do that is we deploy the apps from the cloud. So you'll see here we use 3CX, Google Chrome, Cisco, blah, blah, all self-explanatory there, all that kind of stuff. All deploys to our machines now when we first buy them, log them in, and they all go bang, and there you go. They're all installing and stuff like that. So a lot of automation there, and also as well on top of that, we run. This was a bit that was not really missing, but kind of was in a full feature before, and we've had to write loads of scripts which will basically deploy all of these kind of apps apps what we couldn't do before, because won't go into too much technical detail, but they're like EXEs, and when you go and run an EXE, you have to go next, finish, so you couldn't really script that, but we've got a way around that now, which as you can see, we've done there, and we've got different people that it deploys to. And as part of Intune as well, BitLocker is a Windows. It encrypts the hard drives in the machine. So before you'd have to go around and do that one by one to the C drives. This now, when they log into Azure Active Directory, that BitLocker is a hard drive straight away. So it's done again at global level. And what that basically means is, if someone was to, again, find your laptop or PC or whatever, and they take the hard drive out and put it into another system to get the data off of it, then you can't do that basically because it's encrypted and the other machine will not know the key to decrypt the data. And that is that part of it. So this is the most important part for me. And when you start opening your stuff up to more cloud services and settings, you're kind of opening the doors slightly to your data in terms of, if your system's on like a VPN or on a server, people kind of it's inside the building. Whereas when it's on the cloud, not just internal people, but also, like hackers and stuff, they know that their data's online. So you're kind of open more to, the more you close the doors, the less low hanging fruit you are, the less likely you are to be targeted. So the more you do, the better basically. And MDM is mobile device management, and you've got the mobile application management as well. And I won't go too much into these, but basically speaking, we can do it so that SharePoint data can't leave, or any internal Office 365 data can't basically leave Office 365. So once it's enabled, excuse the Microsoft Paint, here is our, you see the little suitcase padlock thing on there. that is saying that that data is protected by MDM. And we set the policies up so there can be, so you've either got a managed device or an unmanaged device. An unmanaged device is, say, one of your employees wants to use their personal tablet to access SharePoint. You either want to allow that or you don't. But if you do, then that's a mobile application management. So you'll still be able to wipe that data if something happens with that employee's tablet, but you haven't got full control of the device. And this goes for Windows, Android, and Apple, as you know, across the whole board. Whereas if it's a tablet that you've bought and it's company owned, or a laptop that's bought and company owned, you know, that is yours and you can do what you want with it. So that would become a mobile device management. And we install the Intune app on that mobile device, which means you've got full control over the whole thing in terms of wiping the whole device. And you can, you know, it's yours to do what you want to do with. And once that mobile device management is there and that padlock is on the icons, I won't show you a demo of it, but if you were to say copy a file from SharePoint and try and paste it onto, you could paste it onto the C drive of a MDM machine, because that's got the mobile device management app on it, and that is a company machine. But if you try to copy that onto an external USB device, if it ever leaves anything to do with a company, it will basically be blocked. That's how it works. So you can't get to remove any data from the system. It will just be blocked. And you can have it so that, like, you can unprotect, say, certain things. So it's done at app level, what you want to block and what you don't want to block, so it can be completely customized. And it is really, really to protect that SharePoint data. So you'll end up having multi-factor authentication and the information protection management to protect that data leaving the system. It can even go down as far as, you know, if you're copying the text. So if you're copying a text from inside a document and pasting it into a browser, it will come up saying that, you know, this has been blocked by your policies, kind of thing. So yeah, that is it really. We have a separate meeting on it. Here is just the last thing, which is, you know, this is where all the machines end up reporting to. So you get a really good overview of what machines, who's working on the machine. And then you can go onto these and see, I think that's, let me find mine, see if there's anything in there. So you can go in here and you can see, like, what apps have deployed, hardware, app configuration, recovery keys. You can wipe the device, as you can see. You can retire it. Fresh start, I think, would reinstall it. I've not actually done that myself. So it really opens up to, like, a complete cloud system, no server, a slight increase in an Office 365 subscription. We have to obviously charge for this kind of thing in terms of, like, our support. So really, like, a workstation support price doesn't really cover, you know, us, like, looking after this, maintaining this, and any problems that might have with it. So I'll speak to you about that separately. It's not a lot of money. It's all, you know, it's all makes sense because all the money is going to be saved on cloud backups and servers and all that kind of thing. And that's it really. So yeah, look forward to speaking to you about it in more detail, and we'll go from there. Thank you.